Hi, I'm Amadou from DP Review, and this is the Canon EOS 5D Mark III. This is the third generation of the incredibly popular 5D series and the follow-up to the groundbreaking 5D Mark II, which ushered in the era of DSLR video shooting. The camera has a well-designed control layout that places key shooting controls within easy reach while your hand is in the shooting position. The 5D Mark III delivers good video performance and a choice of compression options and is largely free from moire patterning. Videographers who are looking for a significant step up in image quality and specifications, however, will have to look to the much more expensive Canon Cinema EOS lineup. The 5D Mark III has dual card slots. One holds a CF card, the other takes an SD card. You can record to both cards simultaneously. You can set one card as overflow when the first one becomes full, or you can record different file formats to each card. The 5D Mark III doesn't have a built-in flash like the Nikon D800, so you'll have to spring for an external unit even for casual flash shots. The 5D Mark III builds upon the foundations of everything we liked about the 5D Mark II. It delivers great-looking RAW files, a fast frame rate, and professional quality video, all in a robust, durable body that's a pleasure to handle.
The Canon EOS 5D Mark IV is an outstanding camera for photographers who demand high-quality still images, as well as filmmakers looking for pro-level video capture. It has a new 30.4 megapixel full-frame sensor, providing plenty of resolution for demanding situations, from professional portraits to wildlife photography. The updated 61-point autofocus system covers up to 24% more of the frame and includes face detection. 4K DCI video ensures that the camera meets the highest standards for video quality as well. The camera's raw dynamic range has been significantly improved over previous 5D models. We also like the new touchscreen, which adds useful features such as tap to focus. Canon's dual-pixel autofocus provides reliable face detection and subject tracking in live view, while delivering the most accurate and natural-looking autofocus we've seen when shooting video. While the 4K video quality is excellent, the 4K recording is limited to motion JPEG format, which requires large, fast memory cards and may limit recording time. Overall, the Canon 5D Mark IV is a DSLR that will meet the needs of pros and enthusiasts who require high-quality images, excellent video, and a great user interface. For more information about the Canon EOS 5D Mark IV and all things photographic,
in today's field test, we're taking Canon's EOS 5DS and 5D-SR into the wilds of Oregon near the town of Bend, to spend time with outdoor adventure photographer Mikey Schaefer. We'll be shooting a range of scenarios to see how Canon's flagship high megapixel cameras perform. We're using the cameras with three L-series Canon zooms, the 11-24mm wide angle, and the latest Mark II versions of the 24-70mm f2.8 and 100-400mm.
My name's Mikey Schaefer. I'm an adventure photographer based out of Central Oregon. I specialize in adventure photography that takes me all over the world. Anywhere that's hard to get to, that's maybe a little bit dangerous, that's a little bit cold, and a lot of jobs that other people just aren't willing to do. So this is my van. It's actually, I'd say at this point, kind of famous in the climbing world. It's got everything you could ever need. It's got a bed, it's got my stovetop, it's got my fridge, got my heater, got extra batteries, solar panels. I can download, I can edit. So it's a great mobile unit for me. And I still spend 3 to 5 months in it every year, traveling and shooting and climbing.
As much an athlete as he is a photographer, Mikey is well known in the climbing community, and among many other achievements has logged 7 first ascents in Argentine Patagonia. As a regular photographer for the clothing brand Patagonia, Mikey is accustomed to working in far-off exotic places. But today we've come to a park near his hometown to learn about how he approaches this kind of photography.
Smith Rock is definitely really well known on the world stage as a climbing destination. Some of the hardest routes in the world have been done there.
On the first day, with nearby wildfires lending more than the usual warmth to the morning light, we shot a number of different angles of the climbers on the rock, starting with long lens shots across the valley on Canon's new 100 to 400mm L-series telezoom.
When you're doing these photo shoots, you have to bring back a variety of images. You can't just shoot everything in the same style. So we went into the canyon, then we started shooting a little bit wider. We were shooting with 11 to 24 and the 24 to 70 at that point.
The EOS 5D-SR and 5DS are 50 megapixel DSLRs, primarily aimed at stills photographers. Externally identical to the 5D Mark III, the new cameras feature redesigned shutter mechanisms and new mirror lockup delay settings to help reduce internal vibrations. The only difference between them is that the standard 5DS model has a conventional optical low-pass filter, whereas in the SR, the effect of this filter is cancelled out. What this means in practice is that slightly more resolution can be eked out of RAW files from the R model, at the expense of occasional moire and fine patterns.
They actually hung one of the ropes for me, so I was able to ascend that rope and then shoot top down on them, which is a great way to show the exposure. It's also a great way to get their face. Perfect. Oh yeah. There's a lot of just dangerous aspects to what I do, which is I think what keeps a lot of people away from it and makes it just hard for people to get into it.
Yeah, it looks quite sharp and looks like it's in focus, so that's good.
Okay, I'm gonna get that other rope out real quick then.
After a long day shooting under the sun, we found a vantage point to get a time-lapse. So much like its younger brother, the 7D Mark II, the 5DS and 5DSR offer a built-in intervalometer. So what that means is you can actually set the camera up and it will shoot a sequence of images over whatever period of time you wish, and you can then make a time-lapse video really easily. In generations prior to this, you had to have a remote release with an intervalometer built in. It's quite expensive and kind of annoying to carry around. Now it's built in, it's really easy. There we go. So now it's just going to shoot every 5 seconds for as long as the battery lasts, essentially. And hopefully we should get some nice light playing over the rocks as the sun starts to go down.
So we went back out in the evening once the light got a little bit better. And I wanted to do something that was a little less technical. We wanted to do a little bit more lifestyle, hanging out. There's a lot of in-between moments. You're not always just up on the rope. You're not always running or biking. I was quite impressed with the sharpness. It was definitely a step up from the 5D Mark III. I mean, when you zoom into 100%, you're like, oh, wow, that's really sharp. You know, especially with the 24 to 70. I mean, that combo right there was amazing. It's definitely some of the sharpest images I've ever shot. On the second day, we had a new group of models, and we started with mountain biking in the morning, just for the autofocus.
Although the 5DS and SR are not really designed with the needs of sports photographers in mind, they do feature improved versions of the 5D Mark III's 61-point autofocus system, with the addition of intelligent subject tracking.
Mountain biking is a fast activity, so we did a little bit of, camera panning as they went by, and just tried to show that movement through the frame. I think we were pleasantly surprised at what we were getting. The autofocus tracking was working quite well, pretty tack sharp. It did start to have problems when we had multiple subjects in the frame. It didn't know which subject to hit, so it was jumping around a little bit. And when we only had one subject in there, it seemed to be pretty spot on. In the evening, we had the same models and we were going to do some trail running. And we actually went to one of my favorite locations, which is on top of the Smith Rock. And up there, you get a great view of all the landscape. You see the river below, you see all the exposure from the cliffs. I knew we'd be able to get some great trail running shots up there. And again, with a lot of variety. We were able to shoot with a long lens, we were able to shoot with the 24-70 and the 11-24, and they all have a slightly different feel to them. It was really productive up there.
And the light is beautiful now. I mean, partly it's thanks, unfortunately, to the wildfires, but we've got this really orange, sort of warm light.
We definitely started shooting almost a little earlier tonight because of that. There was even something up there that we didn't plan. There was a large slack line strung between two large towers. And we shot that a little bit too, which is actually quite popular at Smith Rocks these days.
We're hoping for a nice sunset here. I'm not sure we're going to get one. But we'll try and get a landscape shot with the camera locked down on a tripod, and we're going to get the most out of the resolution that we possibly can by using live view mode, which means the electronic shutter, so no mirror vibration, no shutter vibration at all. And we use a 2-second self-timer to try and eliminate any potential for vibration. Right, so this is the end of the second day of shooting. It's the end of our shooting here. We were up there about an hour ago. Incredible as that is to believe, and now we're down here. So the one last thing I want to get is just a really quick shot of this view here, because the light is almost gone, but it's just such a beautiful reflection here on the water. Well, it's been amazing. It's been a real privilege to come here with Mikey, because he knows the area so well. I mean, I think he started climbing here when he was 13 years old and he hasn't stopped. It's been hazy because of the wildfires, but the sunlight's been beautifully warm as a consequence. So, I mean, I've seen some of the pictures he took and they look amazing. So, I think we've got some really good stuff here.
I shot 2,000 images in the 2 days. So if I got 2 photos in 2 days that I'm really excited about, that's pretty good. And I think, 1 out of 100, I'll show somebody.
We shot the EOS 5DS and 5DSR side by side. And as we expected, the critical difference between the output of the two cameras was relatively modest. We've seen from our controlled studio testing that a little more detail can be drawn out of RAW files from the 5DSR. But in the kind of environments we found ourselves in on this shoot, both cameras delivered extremely high resolution.
I've been shooting with Canon since the 5D Mark II. The new 5DSR was pretty, normal in my hand. I knew what it felt like. So that part was great about the camera. There was a couple things that I wasn't thrilled about with the camera. For me, actually, it was the buffer. It took a while for it to ingest those photos. It was something I had to get used to. I've seen cameras with slightly better dynamic range, but I would say overall, with the detail, this is, as good as a file I've seen. It's kind of like mind-blowing. You're like, wow, this is a 35 millimeter size sensor. I mean, it looks more like a medium format. I like to believe that some of the photography I do is getting people out there, is getting people to love the outdoors. If you skateboard, shoot skateboarding. If you're a skier, shoot skiing, at least to start. You know what's real, you know what's legit. Go out there and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot.